Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness, and what communion has light with darkness? Okay. The thing that I want to emphasize with you is this. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. I understand that there are times when you're talking about two Christians together. Two Christians that believe the Word and are serving God ought to be able to work things out. But unfortunately, not all Christians are reading their Bible. Not all of them are serving God. Not all of them are trying to grow in the Word. You know, sometimes Christians don't grow and they remain babies. And babies are very selfish. Babies are the most selfish creatures on the planet. Aren't they sweet? Yes, and they're selfish. They believe the whole world revolves around them. And it does for a while. But here the Apostle Paul says, do not be unequally yoked together. Now, the thing I want to focus in on here is this. This phrase, do not be unequally yoked together, literally means do not break rank. Do not, it's a military term. When you're going into battle, you got to remember, the Apostle Paul loved sports, and he also loved the army, battle strategy, and things like that. And you find it all through his writings. You have to remember when the Romans went into battle, they would go in with a phalanx, and a phalanx was they'd go marching in side by side, and it looked like a rectangle. And the ones up front had their shields out front, and then everybody behind them had their shields on top. And then the ones on the side had their shields on the side. So it was a tank. And they would just march. They'd take several of these phalanxes, phalanxes. These shielded rectangular things, they would take a bunch of them into the middle of the enemy, and then they would get into they would fire arrows at them and they just bounce off. They'd throw spears and javelins at them, just bounce off. But can you imagine what would happen if somebody on the inside of that phalanx got a little nervous and took off outside of that phalanx? What would happen? They'd be killed. That's what this is talking about. This is talking about a person, when you're unequally yoked together, you've broken rank. And when you break rank, you are wide open to the enemy. Now, when you look at that, where divorce and remarriage are concerned, this is what happens in the marriage relationship. The enemy is trying to come into a marriage to get somebody to break rank. If the two of you stand together, there is nothing that you can't accomplish. As a matter of fact, the Bible says that a threefold cord is not easily broken. That's husband and wife and God together. Three of you together. That cord is not, you can't break it. So what the enemy's going to try to do, he knows he's not going to get God to separate from you, but he's going to try to get you to separate from God. And if that's his goal. Well, if he can't do that, then he'll come in between the two of you and get the two of you at odds with one another and get one of you to break rank, and he'll attack and destroy the marriage. That's why the Apostle Paul says, follow after peace. Pursue peace. When you see yourself getting spooled up, hang on, stop. We're not going to do this with one another. We're not, no. You have to remember your spouse is not your enemy. I know sometimes you think of that, but they're not your enemy. The devil tries to make it appear to be that way. The two of you standing together in agreement, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. Where any two of you on earth shall agree as asking anything in my name, it shall be done for you. Remember, Jesus said that over Matthew chapter 18. So, the law, if you will, where divorce and remarriages are served for the Christian is the law of love. And follow after peace. Amen?